How would you describe like your taste and your palate now?
I think it's difficult to describe your own taste sometimes.
Okay.
I think I used to have this pitch of what my thing is, and I don't know if it's fully accurate anymore, but I'll give you what the pitch was.
Okay.
The pitch I'd say is like a mix of like surrealist visuals and like mumblecore performances. Mumblecore meaning like the Duplass brothers or Barry Jenkins or anything A24 is putting out, really, where it's like very real to life raw performances and combining that with genres and cinematic expression that typically isn't put to mumblecore.
Okay.
A lot of times mumblecore is very docu-style, handheld kind of a thing.
Right.
And I think I'm interested in taking mumblecore, but what happens if you put it in a heightened reality? What happens if you put it in an extreme situation? What happens if you mix that with like Lynchian forms of surrealist, forms of storytelling? And I think it can be an interesting. Mix. So that's actually probably accurate. I particularly with like where I want to move in narrative, scripted sort of work. The older pitch was like I'm inspired by dreams, memories, and nightmares. I think that's kind of the buckets I work in. I still think that's somewhat accurate, I think to explain what I mean by that, like dreams is sort of like this Technicolor La La Land kind of, old Hollywood, heightened reality, surrealism. I'm really drawn to like old Hollywood, like the Humphrey Bogart types of things. That era of the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. I had a love for that for a very long time. I still love it.
That's very much expressed in your first short too. I felt like.
For sure. Yeah, I think that was my outlet for that. So that's where the dream sort of aspect comes from. Nightmares is more of like a Lynchian, like Yorgos Lanthimos, very dark, weird, twisted version of surrealism. Like tapping into like the subconscious in a much darker way. And then the memories, I think, comes in from like mining your own memories and mining life for those mumblecore details of how to make things realistic. Because I'm not about like, I used to be more about like stylized performances, but I don't think that's really where I am anymore. I really like, I like sometimes will turn movies and shows off after like a minute because of the performances, just because I'm probably being overly like aggressive, but like performances are really important to me.
Well, I think as a director, like your tastes are allowed to evolve. I think anybody who's been doing it long enough, it has evolved. Like I think anybody who's like big, they have a natural progression of like their aesthetic. So that's cool.
And I would say the progression for me has been from visual to performance. I think I started more visual, and now I think I've always liked performance, but I think it's really kind of my like number one priority in a way. Is if the performance isn't there, you don't have a movie.
Sure.
And yeah, I'd say that's what the progression is.
Cool.
Has gone from. Yeah.